going to turn to Kit and Andy, who asked about, firstly, what do you think the greatest threat is, reform or the Lib Dems? And when it comes to reform, what is your plan to challenge Nigel Farage?
Okay. Reform and the Lib Dems are two sides of the same coin. So we must not make the mistake of thinking, oh, we've got to tack this way or tack that way in order to win votes. We've got to spread out and get the common ground back. We have a reform vote that was about the same as a Liberal Democrat vote. Well, there are 70 Lib Dems in Parliament. Many of them are there, not because more people voted Liberal Democrat, but because our votes split in two. If we can get our vote back from reform, I think that will tackle quite a lot of the Lib Dem threat that we face. And that means being confident Conservatives again. Why do people vote for Nigel Farage? They don't do so because he's got the best policies. They do so because of how he communicates. He resonates with a lot of people. He sounds like he understands their concerns. When we started sounding overly managerialist, overly technocratic, too buried in the weeds of arcane language and not sounding like we understood the concerns of the people. That's one of the things that we have to fix. I think that if we do that and we layer on top the policies and the values, which people will see that we understand that we are dealing with their concerns, we will be able to get rid of reform or certainly reduce their share of the vote to the point where they're not troubling us so much. And the first test of that will be at the May County Council elections. I think the Human Rights Act, for example, there's a lot that we can do there before looking at international treaties. The Equality Act needs updating. It is a good piece of legislation in many ways, but there are also a lot of problems with it. And worse, people are actually making it do things it doesn't say and it was never set up to do. These are the legacies of Blair's constitutional settlement. We can unpick them. And then the second question about why is it so hard to lower tax or to cut spending?
Why is it difficult to cut spending? But we've got another question about why it's so hard to lower tax. So there's two sides of the same coin there.
So for those of you who heard me 2 years ago, when I stood then, would have heard me talk about Treasury orthodoxy. This is one of the things that needs to change. This is parts of the system that don't necessarily work. We think too short term, and I don't think the Treasury models dynamic effects well enough. I don't think the OBR does that too. So we have a system that just looks at the money coming in and the money going out like it's a ledger, when actually lots of other things are happening in the background. People change their behavior. Sometimes you raise tax, you can completely kill an industry rather than get more money. The Treasury doesn't always think about things like that. And so we get the second, third order effects. A good example was what we did on the tourism tax, where we stopped giving VAT free shopping. We're not making more money from that. The shopping's just gone to France. We haven't got extra tax from people buying those expensive goods. People just aren't buying them as much. You look at the luxury goods, which actually supports a British industry all over the country. Their sales have dropped, just as the ones in France have increased because they have kept their VAT-free shopping. So we need to change the way the Treasury looks at things. We also need to look at things over a longer period of time, not just a year or the next couple of years. We have a problem in this country where we look at things in an election cycle. Thank you, Claire. All I want to say is thank you, everybody. The last time we had this virtual rally, there were 6 candidates in the contest. There are now just 2. I was absolutely thrilled to be in the final 2. It was fantastic meeting so many of you at conference. I am having a lot of fun, and the next few years are going to be fun if I am leader. But I want you all to know that I get so much of my energy from you. People say, how do you do it? Every time I get your wonderful messages, the WhatsApp groups forward me all of the messages of support and encouragement. It keeps me going. So I want to say thank you all. I'm looking forward to the next 2 weeks. I think we're going to do this. I'm not being complacent. I'm working hard. I'm running a grassroots campaign, not a TV campaign or a media campaign. I'm getting out there and I'm looking forward to meeting many of you on the campaign trail. Thanks, everybody.